once again, Year of the Mecha continues to prove that the deeper you look, you can always find mecha games in the unlikeliest of places. And because this is one of those weird niche games that, like, I'm very confident that probably anyone that watches this will have never heard of, we got Kaboom here because he's always down for the weird shit.
I live for the weird shit.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you know I'm on a stream, so you know shit's about to get wacky.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, it's a Sandlot game. It would be a crime if they made something that was not wacky.
Fair point. They do know they are known, at least by people who watch these videos, for their unique content.
True. Yes. Sandlot are good friends. After making their name known initially for remote control robot style of mecha games. You know, they made, even before Sandlot, they made Remote Control Dandy at Human Entertainment. Human folded, and the guys from there went on to make Sandlot, where they got their start on Robot Alchemic Drive. One of the best versions of that type of game. And then they did
easily the best well-known.
Oh yeah, because it was the only one that got localized.
Yeah.
Thanks Enix for that, by the way. And then, of course, they did, like, a tie-in to Tetsujin 28, which was, like, that entire concept of a remote control robot literally going full circle by making a game based on the robot that coined the concept. And now,
why screw around with adaptations when you can just get the license?
Yeah, that's like the best end result possible. But now we jump a few years after that. You know, the Nintendo DS has been out for a couple years. Like, the Wii is about to come out later this year at the time of this particular game's release. Nintendo going all in on being like, we're not chasing after, like, the most advanced hardware anymore because there's too much blood in the water. We're going to make stuff that is weird and creative and facilitate developers, if they're committed, to also make hyper creative and unique stuff. Fortunately, for developers like Sandlot, this means that making a game for the DS is right up their alley, because this is what this game is. Super Control Mecha MG. It's the translated title of Chosoju Mecha MG. Because, again, surprise, surprise, this game never got localized, because fuck you, we can't have nice things.
God bless fan translators.
Yep. So, I'm going to at least...
That is a derpy-looking kid.
Yeah, there's definitely some goofy-ass character designs with this game, but...
This is why you shouldn't drink when you're pregnant.
Yeah, only us goons could ever come up with something that dark, but... Sora with less zippers. A little, but also a lot less
Sora
spikes.
He was caught in the rain, and his hair just went bleh.
Yeah, because it's like, to be truly Sora, it needs to be like the silhouette, like the outline of his hair needs to look like a star if viewed from the top down. Let's be real.
Yeah. Remember there's that bit in the first game where Aerith says she's looking for a dude with pointy hair? And he's like, hi.
Yeah, it's the way though it was Tifa, where he goes like...
Tifa.
Yeah, and he was like, see the guy with spiky hair? I mean spike here, which seems like a lie, because I feel like in all the directions Sora's hair goes, that qualifies as spike here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to start a new game just to kind of show up how this game, like, inducts you into, like, what it is all about. Basically, kind of introducing the idea of these, these giant robots known as, like, that are based off of, like, the principles of, like, old-fashioned puppets, marionettes.
Just the music and the graphics, this is nostalgic as hell, and I've never even played this game.
Yeah. Hair so spiky, fusion spontaneously happens at the tips.
I think they call that budding.
True, yeah. So yeah, basically, mecha in this universe can be traced back to, not the evolution of military vehicles or even civilian vehicles or vehicles in general. No, puppets.
Wasn't
gigantic puppets made from mechanical parts.
Wasn't there a Clamp anime that was like that? Angel something?
Something like that. This is our, Pinocchio, the biggest motherfucker.
And Angelic Lair, I think that was it.
That does sound about right.
Yeah, it was like little robot girls that start the whole thing started off because of mechanical puppets, basically.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, our this guy right here is our best friend. He's our marination gear mechanic, and we're basically gonna be like the designated pilot. So that's like the duo kind of setup. You don't have to worry with that guy having like a character arc where he suddenly feels jealous that you're the one who gets to control the giant robot, because he knows that he's got skills in maintaining and repairing these things and keeping them at like the top of their game. So yeah, a little history lesson. Gottfried was like the first mechanical puppet, the original marionation gear. And we got the 4th generation version, but, I mean, it's a pretty dinky thing.
It belongs in a museum.
Piece of junk is a fair description. But yes, there are high-tech puppets in the future. In fact, there is roughly around, I think even more than 100 playable marionation gears in this game. That is that feeds to the big hook with this game, is that you got this sort of progression of building up to tougher and more powerful and weirder marionation gears compared to what you start the game with.
Yeah, I've seen a few bits and pieces, because obviously I wasn't familiar with the game when you said, hey, this is what we're going to be doing, so I had a look. And the amount of detail that they put into the game is frankly astonishing.
It is. It's in a way, it ends up being kind of very hard opposite to the design ethos of something like Robot Alchemic Drive, where you basically have a focus on one to 3 robots, because I mean it was 3 main playable ones in Rad, but you spend most of your time with one of them throughout the majority of the game. And that control scheme, as you remember, that was comprehensive as fuck. Every possible limb manipulation you could do had an assigned button.
Yeah, took forever to get used to, but once you did, it was, there was nothing else that you could imagine.
Yeah. By contrast, in Super Control Mecha MG, oh yeah, here's also the cool thing. In order to register us with the machine that we're its pilot, gotta scan our finger. So obviously if you're playing this on original DS, you could have just touched your index finger against it to get the full immersion. And
then you smash the glass that hides the button.
Well, you do smash something a little bit later. That's the best part.
So this isn't Geiger. Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, it's basically, with this being on the DS and you have a touchscreen, the ingenious thing that Sandlot came up with is, let's use the touchscreen as, your main cockpit controls. And we can just change it up to be whatever cockpit, depending on the giant robot you're piloting.
Yep, there's dozens upon dozens of cockpits, all completely unique, which is, insane.
Yeah, admittedly, when it comes to
for, a console game, let alone a handheld.
Yeah, admittedly, when it comes to the the amount of unique control schemes combined with the amount of playable mecha there are, you start to realize that there are there are very specific types, and that as you get deeper down the deeper into the game and unlocking more and more. It is just like the end game mecha are just hyper improved versions of existing control types that you already get introduced to, like during your first playthrough. So it's not 100 completely unique control schemes. I feel like even that, that would have been like way impossible to achieve.
Yeah, but even still, the amount, because I found a list of all the different mechs and so forth. And even if there is a lot of, essential copy pastes with a few different bells and whistles, the amount of effort they put in for a DS game back in 2006?
Yep.
Frankly, insane.
All right, so that's our boss. He's obviously a hard ass on us because, I mean, like, we're a bunch of kids who are so excited about, like, doing stuff with giant robots. I bet, like, not taking it quite as seriously.
Yes, let's give these kids the 7-story tall monster.
Yep. So,
Surely
and I guess I'll
nothing
show,
can go
like,
wrong
the gears on this. This top gear, you adjust it to the left and right. That changes your torso on the x-axis. The gear on the bottom changes the angle at which you hold it. Just toss it in there.
And throw.
Yeah. It is
Sure
a bit
shout
finicky, kind of trying to get the detection for it, which is ultimately, like, you could say is kind of the core flaw with this compared to how, like, Rad and the other remote control robot games, because they're on a controller that have defined physical inputs, there's, like, a tactile nature that is consistent and easy to measure at all times. With a touchscreen, it's naturally a lot more messy.
Yeah,
but
especially the DS touchscreen wasn't the most accurate.
Yeah, it is, because it's like, it is a much simpler form of, like, touchscreen technology than what we have in all of our devices today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, Ossia. Like, these are, like, these autonomous robots that are causing havoc are called Automen. You say it real fast, and you say it real fast, though, when it comes off sounding like something else entirely.
Don't want to get the stream taken off, kids.
Definitely not. Yeah, Automen have basically been kind of a problem in this universe. They were the result of, like, some puppet maker who's, like, puppet maker's the term for, like these Marionation Gear craftsmen, like, basically creating the design and building them, and had the amazingly dumb idea of, let's make Marionation Gear that have their own, like, autonomous, like, processes and are self-aware. And then this is what happens when you do that.
When will people learn that messing with science beyond their ken is going to end poorly?
Yeah. Yep, yeah, you can tell, like this is what happens when you hire a bunch of kids to be in charge of, like, piloting and repairing a Marionation Gear. They see danger like this, they want to get in on the action and play it out like it's one of their Japanese animes.
Just like in the movies.
Go kid piloting a Marionation Gear for the first time today can do something like that. Yes, and in fact, throughout this entire game, so much of the dialogue is just going to keep re-emphasizing how in disbelief everyone is that you, the main character, are literally the best, like, Marionation Gear pilot around, and you're only a teenager. They're that's true. Hasia's got a good point. Kids are the best pilot. It's a universal law.
Okay, now I'm just wondering what kind of hideous trauma's in this kid's past. Because everyone knows that traumatized kids are even better.
I imagine in the case of your main character, he just played, like, a shit ton of video games.
Oh god, that's bad enough. He should be glad he's not unleashing that robot on the school.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and here's Cade being a real sneaky bastard, just being like, oh yeah, I just snuck in some weapons on this old dinky Marionation Gear that was only meant for, like, picking up things.
Yeah, that kid is not to be trusted under any circumstances.
Yeah, you have to press the button to fire a weapon, but he says, but there's no button in the cockpit. They're in the empty area on the left side. Give it a good whack. You said something about smashing the button. You gotta smash the panel.
Nice.
That
is so dumb.
Yeah, that is like the best. Let's try. Come on.
Yeah, and it's not just that he's put on like a sword or anything. No, he's equipped it with Gatling guns and missiles. Yeah. This kid is like one step away from being opposite world Ted Kaczynski.
Oh, man. Come on down to Jay and Kin's Mecha Fuck Shack.
Agricultural society in its future, my manifesto.
And yeah, the Ottoman's main attack is to just roll its arm and simply act like it's your fault if you get hit by it.
Yeah, I was just picturing going,
Now we just need an Ottoman whose entire fighting style is them being programmed wrong as a joke.
No, it just stands there and starts kicking in place.
Just pulls a Denji and just keeps trying to kick into like wherever your nuts is and never lets up.
Still love the fact that they actually added in a ding sound effect for the anime.
That I didn't see the anime versions of those events, but that is a really good detail.
No, when the first time he unleashes his secret technique, there is a very audible ding. That's like,
genius.
Chef's kiss.
Yep. Mappa was given the assignment and they knew what to do.
I mean, I was sold when I saw the opening titles.
Yeah. Our apprentices are getting a bit full of themselves. I mean, this is what you get for hiring on kids who are, like, not even graduated from school.
Yeah, your apprentices are 14-year-olds with access to missile launchers. I'm going to give them all the leeway they ask for.
It's like, for real though, like, hilarity aside, what a really strong intro, because of just the way that it escalates, kind of really doing a good job of introducing, like, what the key, like, controls are, because movement's always the same no matter what. You control with the D-pad, or face buttons if you're, like if your dominant hand is on the left, which is what you'd be using the stylus for. And then, like, messing around with, like, the gears to, like, adjust the arm's positions to grab things. And then it's not only introducing an enemy and showing that combat exists, but really highlighting that you need to interact with everything on the touchscreen because there might be hidden functions underneath, like the hidden missile buttons.
I have to admit, that's one of the nicest touches I've ever seen in a mech game.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite touches in any DS game, like, in a long time. And this is coming from someone whose favorite DS game is Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword.
Yeah, that was a weird one. I was never quite every time I thought, yeah, I'm getting it, it would be like, oh, by the way, here's like 3 new techniques that you'll need to learn. Like, oh,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, just all the Ninpo stuff and all the... I mean, just the fact that it does so many things to make it so that you are not holding and playing the game like a traditional game would be, Yeah. Like that was one of those cool part.
One of those games you either gel with immediately or you're like, nope, this is weird.
Yeah. I mean, I was already a Ninja Gaiden fanboy to begin with around that time, and then I was like, it also helped that I was like into like seeing what new experiences could like show up, and like that was worth it. And I guess like a special mention, even though it's not a particularly good game, but I think anyone that's played Zelda Phantom Hourglass remembers that one puzzle that uses DS in the most unique way, where you have to close the clamshell and then open it back up because it's like it stamps the map, like the print onto the map itself. Yeah,
that's. I have no idea because they re-released that, didn't they?
Like was what?
Didn't they re-release Phantom Hourglass?
Oh, are you thinking about? Wait, was it on the? Could it have been on the Wii U's like virtual console for DS games? Because they released DS games there.
I do not know, because I remember there was some re-release of it on obviously like a non-DS or 3DS console, and I was like, how in the hell did they do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Hasio brings up a good point. Another code also did like the same thing.
Yep.
Which, speaking of, has a collection announcement as of just recently.
Yep.
To the surprise of everyone, because who is asking for another code to come back?
And remember, 999 did a few things with that as well.
Yeah.
There was one where you had to turn the DS upside down in order to do the last part of the game. Which I haven't gotten far enough in the Steam ports of that to see how they do that.
The Nintendo DS was so cool.
It was, like, the 3DS was okay, but there's more games on the DS that I'm like, I absolutely love that. Like, World Ends With You, Contra 4, 999.
There's some good Castlevania games on there as well, like Portrait of Ruin.
Yep. The Front Mission remake. Just so many games that I'm like, oh, that game was brilliant.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh wait, no, I think I'm not misremembering. I mean, I've not played it, but I know that it was like fairly well liked. But like, wasn't like the third Mario and Luigi game still on DS? Like Bowser's Inside Story.
Yeah, the Dream Brothers or whatever it was called.
Oh, Partners in Time was the second one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was the one with the hundreds of Luigis, and the MacGuffin was a stone pillow.
Yeah.
I think it was Dream Team or something like that.
I think that might be the fourth or something. I only really remember like the second one was called Partners in Time, which like had like Mario and Luigi and like their baby versions of them.
Yeah, in that case it was Partners in Time and Bowser's Inside Story, so Dream Team must have been the fourth one. Yeah,
and the one that killed the series.
Yeah, Inside Story was a fantastic game though.
Yeah, I definitely, especially since it's like I love the Paper Mario games back when, you know, they were what they were supposed to be before they got fucked up intentionally. Like, I really should actually sit down and play those Mario and Luigi games.
Oh yeah, I love them just simply because they are completely fine with taking the piss out of Mario. The entire thing is so disrespectful to the Mario franchise, and I love it to bits.
That's pretty funny. So after like that tutorial, as you go through this game, your level select is basically on like what looks like a big Mario overworld style like board, where it's like a bunch of squares and circles connected by lines. A lot of what you go through at the start is like these sort of dialogue sections that are designed to introduce you in a more formal manner, like what the world is about, what the marionation gears are, how to control them. Kind of explaining that, with how the controls are set up, if you're left-handed, you can totally use the face buttons to move your marionation gear while leaving your dominant hand available for the stylus. Because it's a Japanese game, Hasio, it's the only explanation. In fact, I'm just gonna like... One more thing to show. What you need to be most cautious of when using is the heat gauge. So this is kind of the thing that balances out like all the stuff you can do with your marionation gear so that it doesn't get too cheesy, as it were. Also, hi, Arian. You arrived in time for a very weird, unique game.
Yeah, as I said, the fact that I'm in a stream tells you that it's just going to be weird as shit.
Is it me or the stream not loading? The stream's outputting.
Working fine on my end.
And maybe
let me just refresh.
Yeah, maybe like a refresh. Double check to make sure your ad blocker isn't triggering it. But yeah, heating. Basically every action you do that isn't movement contributes heat, which means it can even be something as simple as rotating the gears to rotate your torso. Because
no breathing.
Well, but especially because the velocity at which you rotate those gears to like twist your torso when your arms are out like that, it can, you do it fast enough, it can count as like a melee hit is the idea.
Oh, okay. So you literally can swing back and forth and go, not hitting you.
Yeah, it's a very, again, that's kind of why, like, again, describing it compared to the remote control robot games, it is very much like a more sloppy, like, it's a more inherently loose and sloppy type of control method because of how it's all focused around, like, these touchscreen elements. But it still manages to be fun because it gets to the thing that always makes Sandlot games so enjoyable is that what happens on screen is so goofy, it's so silly, that it's like, you don't care if it is like the jankiest low-budget thing imaginable, you just fully buy into it on hilarity alone.
See, I love it when games take an inherently silly concept and they play it straight. There's no winks or nods to the audience. They're like, here's the concept. Yeah. Either you're on board with it or you're not.
Yeah. The only things that can be seen as taken very seriously is like all like the dialogue and characterization because everyone in the universe fully buys into the fact that this is how the world works. And, it's not being cynical. It's not doing obnoxious winking and nods at you. So it's like, yeah, if they're that dedicated, why wouldn't you buy into it the same way they do?
Yeah. It's like, you've bought the game. Like, you need to make that last step or we're not going to have any fun.
That's an example of a Marination gear we can get later. There's quite a number of them that all have vehicle forms, so transformation is a mechanic as well.
Very smooth transformation as well for the DS. Yeah,
they definitely put some time thinking into the shapes involved in the mechanisms to really make it work, Like, it's the sort of thing where I'd imagine a lot of these would work really well as actual toys if they had ever been made as toys.
Would not be surprised if they initially, planned them as toys and was like, okay, here's how this would work.
Yeah. Or maybe, they took a cue from how Shoji Kawamori kind of goes through his mecha design process. Have you heard of this? Where he actually uses Legos to build out prototypes.
I remember hearing that he used Legos and that he'd also taken to kit bashing Gunpla at times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, God, and like all the more reasons, especially because of how, I don't have them anymore, but as a kid, I absolutely enjoyed the shit out of like building stuff with Legos. So saying that he used that as part of his design process is just all the more reason why he's like my most respected and favorite mechanical designer in the industry.
Yeah.
Like literally inspirational.
Guy's definitely a treasure.
Yeah, we know what Marination gears are all about, even though we've not really been reading it. Because at least the next couple missions get us back into playing as some. This is just a nice kind of demonstration of how, Marination, that gear that can transform. Some are better at picking up objects than others. Some of them, it's like, because you have construction vehicles where it's like big shovel-type arms that are perfectly tuned to it. And then you have ridiculous stuff like these, like the Jibel that you see on the left screen, where it has a sword and you can just skewer an object you want to pick up and carry it that way, and it works.
This is very, very delicate cargo. We need you to deliver it over there. Can do. Shank.
Yeah. So here is our menu where we go to select our Marination gear, our puppets, which honestly at that point, I'm just to keep things, to not say the full title again, I'm just going to abbreviate it to puppets. Everyone calls them puppets. But you can look up, descriptive text about the puppet in question, 4th generation successor to the Gottfried. You can look at the abilities, which actually describes to you what all the different interactive elements of the cockpit do. So like upper right lever, lower right gear, the hidden buttons, courtesy of K's illegal modifications. And then slots, which are for stat boosting items, which are the sort of thing where it kind of those item slots, how they're used is it's the kind of items where once you equip them, you're not allowed to unequip them and preserve them. Like, it's basically
One use only.
like one use only. If you're gonna get rid of it, you're doing it for the purpose of you're just wanting to replace it with something you know is better.
Yeah. Oh, that's always annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the sort of thing where, like, especially starting out, like, I did not deal with the item slots for a long time. Basically not until I got to hard, which, yes, because this is a Sandlot game post-EDF, they obviously commit to this idea of just, they want you to play through these, through their games on every single difficulty, and kind of working through their, at the same time, like, their sort of progression of getting better tools, which, the better the tools, the easier time you'll have going through, like, the higher difficulties, as it were. We're definitely not doing super hard or anything. Normal's fine.
I was gonna say, this is just EDF again, isn't it?
Yeah. even Techigen 28, which was released post EDF 1, it also had like all 5 difficulty selections from EDF. It literally had easy, normal, hard, very hard, and inferno. I guess they could not fit the 5th inferno difficulty in here because of memory restraints on the DS, so we got spared that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, this is a kid's game, so we can't have hell difficulty.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Although I would not be surprised if we got any giant insects in the game before the end.
You might want to wait until we get to see, like, the first 3 workshops that sell different puppets.
Bugs.
Yeah. In fact, Kay in this game shares your same enthusiasm. Once we get to that.
Hang on, you're gonna have to be specific. What enthusiasm are we talking about here?
He's like, enthusiasm as in, I want a giant robot that looks like a bug.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. He's not a bug fucker. Relax. He's not.
I mean, neither am I. Just want to get that out there. The implications there are unsettling at best.
What other reason do you need? Exactly. The only reason you need is just a pure and honest love for giant robots.
I just want a giant robot that scares the crap out of everyone that looks at it.
Yeah. So as the next part of Jin and K's continued education, we're at the Marination Gear Museum, where we'll get to mess around with, like, a couple of puppets that are held in this museum, but much like the Godfrey G4, they are similarly they are very similarly cheap, not that exciting. So, like, K is very much trying to do his best to not be disrespectful to this old man.
Yeah, let's take the 7-story tall robot to the museum.
Yeah. In our giant transport truck that takes up every single lane on an 8-lane wide road, I'm pretty sure. It's 6 or 8.
Yeah. A mere 4-story tall transport.
Yeah, that's right. And he's still not done. Honestly, Jin's being, like, a better sport about this compared to K. He's just like, yeah, it's just long, but whatever. At least I get to pilot these things. The Springer. And a very dapper looking puppet in the form of Hatman.
Please tell me you can throw the bow tie like a boomerang.
Unfortunately, no.
Damn it!
But Hatman does have, like, a very interesting and unique control method, and it has to go back to the part where the Marination Gear, the puppets, are literally derived from, like, old-fashioned marionettes, just scaled up. If you're familiar enough with how entertainers used to control old puppets on strings.
Little crossbar thingies?
Yep. Ropes are too expensive. Use strings. Yeah, we got very powerful, high tensile strings. Here you go.
I mean, if you have enough strings, doesn't that technically count as a rope?
Enough to hang you with. I mean... Anyway, here you go. This is how the Hatman controls.
Oh, wow.
You gotta hold this thing up. It obviously moves the arms on a bit of a delay. But, obviously, as long as the arms are extended out properly, you can pick things up. And fortunately with this, all you have to do is just release the crossbar, and it drops whatever you're holding. So it's a lot more reliable for, in the early game for, like, transporting stuff compared to some of the other puppets where you have to shake the arms, which can be kind of disastrous because depending on the speed and direction, you might just fling it outside of the area you need to drop the objects in.
Yeah, sometimes having no bells and whistles actually works to your advantage.
Yeah. Keeps these giant boulders lying around. The other Marination gears, when they need to set this up for, like, training, just to show people this is what you can do.
These are our ornamental boulders that we keep lying around?
Yeah. Yep, that's definitely what older puppets were like before we got to the fantastic stuff that are put together by the 8 workshops. Which, I as far as, like, the world building this game does, I absolutely love, like, the 8 workshops because all of them are basically their own craftsmen that are focused around making very specific categories of puppets, which helps a lot for the keeping track of, like, which puppets are good for what among the hundreds of playable ones.
I always like it when that sort of thing happens. Like, there's various different types of makers in a game, and they all have a very specific style.
Yeah. Puppet Knight's Slave. One that's actually better fit for combat because it's got a sword. A little fencing rapier.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was a sword or a lance for a second.
Maybe it's a lance. I don't know. Well, no, because, like, I feel like if it was supposed to be a lance, there would be controls on this one for actual thrusting. But this is just you simply swing. And okay, here's the interesting to me because this is by by one of the workshops that is known for using very old-fashioned mechanisms. These ones have a particular quirk. The Circle Workshop puppets have a quirk where, like, if you wind up the gears too hard and too quickly, it'll cause them to break.
Oh.
Yeah, because the idea with the Circle Workshop is that they do not use any electrical parts.
Oh, okay. So is this one of the clockwork ones that they were talking about?
Correct. Yeah. Like, Circle's all about clockwork, old-fashioned mechanical designs, as opposed to using proper electrical components. Oh yeah, and the Dark Workshop, not part of the 8 currently, because that one was basically just the workshop of the one dude who made the Ottoman in the first place.
It's getting a bit G Gundam in here.
A little bit, yeah. So there's our different gears. Yeah, just we'll go with that angle. Ah, damn. Hold on.
Left a bit.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah. It's a lot trickier to properly, like, do melee hits with, like, these gears compared to what most other puppets use for, like, their attack mechanisms, where it's more of a it's more like a lever on a cross gate, I guess, as it were, where, like, it's in the center and you can move it along, like, a track in, like, the 4 cardinal directions, as it were. So it helps, like, when you use that mechanism on the puppets that allow for it, it makes it a lot easier to rapidly swing left to right or up to down, because all you have to do is just draw straight lines on the touchscreen instead of a circle.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult as well to tell. Like with the sword, either the hitbox for it is incredibly precise or very sloppy.
Yeah, I mean, it could be both. As we said before, the touchscreen approach to this makes it a much more loose control scheme than the other mecha titles from Sandlot.
Yeah, because I'm fairly certain the tip of the sword went through the torso like 3 or 4 times there.
Yeah. All right. And we actually got, not only did we get, like, the, our second puppet, the Knight's Slave, but we also got 2 parts of the same blueprint, which we can check out over here at, like, the Gallo Workshop. Go to Warehouse, which shows us, like, the items we pick up, including blueprints. So if we wanted to, if we have both parts of a blueprint and enough money, we can just create a new puppet. In this case, it's Hatman. I'm gonna save the money for elsewhere because I just want to get going to the workshops, because we're now on the next part of the story, in search of a modern puppet.
Ah.
All right. In case throwing a fit. I mean, don't put words in my mouth. I'm technically, no, Jin in this game is like 98% a silent protagonist. He occasionally says stuff, but not something that really implies he has anything in the way of a personality.
Yeah, I was gonna say he has to put words in your mouth because you ain't saying shit.
Yeah, that's true. Even a beetle type. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. He really wants a beetle puppet.
Okay, maybe he's not such a bad guy after all.
Yeah. Fucking pouty face, asshole.
That face. That's a pretty big accomplishment, making such big technological advancements that you cause the city that you live in to have its name changed to yours. That's like going from Seattle to Bezosville.
Or Gates, if you were back in the 90s.
Yeah, that's nightmarish.
Yeah. But obviously, because it's like, I mean, like, you could tell with, like, the tone and even the character art, this is obviously, like, it's creating a world that is, like, so hyper-focused on, like, this, like, core concept that it is very Pokemon-like, you know? You look at any Pokemon game,
not feeling.
Everyone's obsessed with Pokemon. What about other important aspects of society? Who cares? Pokemon!
Also, gaffer is basically like a term for the head man in a workshop or any kind of like factory or whatever.
Right. So we're getting the different names for the 8 workshops. There's Wheel, Tree, Bomb, Shinobi, which when I saw that, you could tell I definitely got excited for that one. Bullet, Dark Workshop, which is like where we don't buy anything from them because they're literally evil. Circle, and Heavy. And 3 of them are in the city that we're going to. Wheel Workshop is I will say, but we'll look at obviously all 3 of what these workshops have to offer. But I think if there's one that you have to pick to carry you through the early game, Wheel Workshop absolutely, because transformation into a car plus really good like attack controls makes it pretty good to get into.
So they're the Bulbasaur of the game. Gotcha.
Yeah. And also, there are, like, as they talk about, like, these Marination gear are really good for, like, racing competitions, which, yes, there are missions in this game where you do participate in races. It's a nice way to mix up the gameplay. Then there's Heavy, which is, you know, you saw with, like, that bulldozer transformer in, like, kind of one of the demonstrations earlier. Like, Heavy Workshop's entire deal is construction vehicles and, like, construction work as a whole. And then there's the Tree Workshop, which makes bug and crustacean stuff. Because it's like, yeah, you saw one that's a beetle. and they also make a crab puppet.
Oh, okay, you said there was a beetle. You said nothing about crab. I am in love with these gears.
Yeah.
It is time for crab.
You know what? For you, we will buy. Well, I don't think the crab is available first, but we can buy the beetle if you're still interested. near the end of this stream, I will switch over to like my completed save file though, just to give you like a bigger demonstration of how many puppets I've unlocked at that point. Yeah.
Excellent.
Someone asks, "What if I just build a car?" The other, "Are you crazy?" Like seriously, that's what this world is all about.
Turn into a missile.
Yeah, but yeah, it's oh man,
car.
Like I can't help but love the just the purity of focus on this cool thing that defines the world. Like there's this, and from earlier in this year, I feel Steambot Chronicles also kind of delves into that, but also has the capacity to tell like more nuanced story with a bit of darkness to it, because of how it's like. It really delves into the idea of like these kind of steam-powered robots that have like that are extremely multi-purpose, but it also ties into kind of the dilemma that clearly would have come about during the Industrial Revolution of, well, we're industrializing all these other like forms of work and practices and yada yada. Where does that leave the old-fashioned people? Oh, not in a good place. Fuck. But not in this game.
Everything looks very 1800s to begin with, except for the occasional skyscraper or office block that we've seen so far.
Yeah. So we're gonna check out the Wheel Workshop first, which one of their starting puppets you can buy is actually like the main puppet that's front and center on the box art of the game.
The Wheelful Tower.
I'll give you that one. Yeah, it's funny, but like the architecture and the Eiffel Tower, it's like this just has to be like just something of a very subtle callback to the fact that the people at Sandlot worked on Remote Control Dandy, and that this was the thing that started it all.
The cities and so forth are very Ghibli-esque.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling us things we already know.
Yeah. So yeah, in order to buy a puppet in this world, you obviously need a license to show that you are qualified to pilot one. You don't want to be giving them away to people that are not actual pilots, because there's an entire association that's designed to like kind of regulate and standardize all this stuff. But also, because of how custom made and high demand these things are, for most people, you basically get put on a long-ass, like, waiting list.
Okay, like, a 14-year-old can get this license. Can't be that difficult.
Everything's to be the order, but all of them have been sold already. Whoops. Reservation for 2 years! Like, I would have given up at that point if I saw that that's what it was.
I don't even like waiting 2 weeks for an appointment, let alone 2 years.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the head, like, puppet maker of the Wheel Workshop.
Oh, yes.
Now, the funny thing with this is that, like, this whole trip is because our boss is basically indulging us, mostly Kay, for being a whiny little fucker, to show him, okay, here are these advanced, cooler puppets, but they're all reserved and out of stock. Too bad you can't get any. Haha, get back to work, loser. Except, oh wait, all the puppet makers at these workshops are friends with our boss, and are basically doing this out of, like, sympathy and, like, a favor. Is Kay a son or nephew? No, our Gallows' only, like, kind of relative that, like, is working under him is his daughter, who's, like, the main assistant at his workshop. We are their apprentices. Like, there's no family relationship. Kay and Jin are just, they're just best friends that just hang out together and do this stuff. So yeah, the Gauss is the title puppet that you see on the box art.
Yeah, it looks. When I first saw this, I was like, "Is this some kind of custom Robo spin-off?" Because that is very reminiscent of the series.
Yeah. Yeah, see, it's like, we don't have to wait 2 years for this. As long as we have the money, he'll just give it to us.
Sometimes having connections helps.
Yeah, even when you don't intend to. Because you're trying to make an example. So let's check out the heavy workshop. Yeah, Heavy's ranked 2nd of the 8. Not surprising considering construction would be pretty important, I'm gonna say, especially if things were to get destroyed during an Ottoman attack.
How often does that happen? I mean, really?
Unironically, a lot. Ah, crap, I think something... What the hell? I think I just briefly... Okay, oh, fuck. I think something messed up with the, Whoops, hang on a second. Something messed up with, like, the calibration on my screen tablet. That, like, it's no longer actually registering on the tablet itself. Hold on, let me try and...
I'll just vamp. Hello, how are you? You look good. Is that a new blouse you're wearing?
Yeah, fucking hell. God damn it. Technical difficulties. At least OBS is not crashing like it has been for me on Turbo Overkill.
Yeah, I didn't actually realize you'd been playing Turbo Overkill.
Yeah.
Tried to get that running on my machine the other day, and it does not like my setup for some reason. Very annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just instantly crashes every time I try and play it.
I mean, it works fine for me normally. Again, just the bigger issue is, you know, OBS itself. Like, you introduce that, and you're basically inviting chaos.
Yeah.
Okay, so... Yeah, I know. I think it was just something that happened where, like, I heard, like, the disconnect, reconnect little ding on my desktops, which, I mean, I think was something that happened with, like, one of the cables that fucked it up. Anyway, I think that should do it. There it is. Okay, we're back. We're just gonna skip all this. Fuck it. Anyway, there's the puppet maker. Big bearded man. Could have easily been a dwarf.
I mean, he's certainly got the terrifying demeanor of one.
Mm-hmm. The heavy workshop has the Book of Grudges.
He looks like Mike Hager from Final Fight if he went feral. And they tried to bring him back and rehumanize him, but just something went very wrong.
Very, very wrong. Mike Hager just went full Jeremiah Johnson, and this was the result. Might be Turbo Overkill the common factor. I would definitely say not. Again, OBS, I think it's just... Especially because I have to keep myself limited to an older version of OBS to properly use the various plugins I have.
And I don't stream whatsoever. So.
Yeah. And it's like, if I'm using, like... Because Turbo Overkill is definitely a much more intensive game than this.
Oh, boy howdy.
Yeah.
Makes Doom Eternal look sedate.
Nah, in all honesty, well, no, yeah, like, Doom Eternal is obviously, like, super well optimized across the board because it are tech gods. That goes without saying.
I'm talking about in terms of, like, action and madness occurring on screen.
Yeah. Yeah, both are really
Doom
close,
but they're...
Yeah, but they're, like, accomplishing them in like, fairly different ways when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it. Anyway, there's our head of the tree workshop.
Who I'm gonna say looks like every anime florist ever.
Yeah. I mean, they also mentioned her apprentice, Angelica, who actually has gone on to form her own workshop that you end up seeing, like, quite a ways into the game, for sure. And,
middle of the jungle.
Yeah, so... If Tree Workshop is about bugs and crabs, Fang Workshop is just all about beasts. It's all about, like, just playing as, like, a Beast Wars character. she was born into furries. God damn it. Well, no, because I just remembered Angelica's design. She's not a furry, but she does have. I can't tell because of how like her portrait changes all the time. I can't tell if like she just is wearing like the skin of a dead tiger as like a kind of a cowl on her, or if it literally is just a big tiger that is lazily riding on her back.
See, one of my cats, if I'm at my PC, he likes coming up, just flomping on me and draping himself over my shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, I'm picturing that, except he is actually fastened onto my skull.
Damn it did it again. You know, fuck it, I'm actually gonna improvise. I'll just use my mouse to do this.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I tried going as long as I could. I think it has to do with like the USB cable I'm using that connects this to the PC, because I've noticed like after playing for quite a while, and I think with the angle that the cable's been like kind of routed and bent is causing the connection to get a bit loose.
The wires inside have gone a bit funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and again, it's primarily for the USB cable. It's like a USB-B of all things. That's blimey. Yeah. So it's like I don't really have the only other USB cable I have is the one that's powering my microphone, so I can't really spare that one.
Yeah. See, one of my friends asked me why I've got like 2 or 3 different USB hubs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, have you not seen how many external hard drives I've got?
Yeah. Yeah, like the port in general could also be that. I'd like to think at the very least that that's not the not the case, but who knows? I mean, like this thing is quite a few years old. But I mean, like, well, I'll show at least like the yeah, that's what our kind of description for our puppet beetle. So, like, I know that at least, like, for the rest of this first chapter, there's, like, a couple more missions, and then eventually there's, like, one mission you do that gives you a payout of, like, 2,000 or so gold, which is, I think, by the time you get that, combined with, like, the reward for all the other missions you complete, that basically gives you enough to make your choice of one puppet from either of these three workshops. But, all honesty, I am just going to, I'm going to reset and load up my main file where I have made a ton of progress, completed both easy and normal, and almost all of hard difficulty. Yeah, so there it is. I got 53 puppets, 28k gold, mission completion 72.54, because it's not just completing the mission in general, but the mission on every difficulty contributes to the percentage. And
so there's going to be missions where you get like 0.1%.
Yeah, and then there's like, this is how big the map is now. It's stupid.
Pretty sprawling, yeah.
Like, this is kind of like the biggest problem I have with it, admittedly, is that I wish there was like just a menu option where you could just bring up a numerical list instead of having to search the entire map for what is the next number mission you need to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that do that, and it is such a pain.
Yeah. So, yeah. Let's give like a quick tour of the. Well, no, I think we'll just do the Switch puppet menu. So, this is like our miscellaneous kind of old hat type of a mecha, Gottfried, Slave. There's a windmill. And the snail.
That snail has seen some shit.
And there's just the giant ship, the SS Titus. The artillery puppet, which is just a walking turret.
I like
and everyone's favorite. Okay. Now, here's what we got for Wheel Workshop. There's Jibble, Gauss, Gil. Like you can see in like their in their profile, like it shows not just the robot form, but also like the vehicle form they turn into. Like Protodaiga is an interesting one because of it being like it's both dual maces, but it also has an extra thing you can do where, as a last-ditch attempt, you can basically toss them and they explode. But if you do that, you lose you lose the ability to actually deal damage because swinging your arms does nothing.
So those maces are basically like potato masher grenades?
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
And then this is the Halcyon, which is like, in the context of the story, this is like the ultimate wheel workshop puppet, where they come to the conclusion of, you know, like the one thing that can make a wheel workshop puppet invincible is that if it has a very strong melee weapon that has the longest range possible. Because if you can keep swinging it, they don't have a chance to getting close.
Okay, but if they do...
if they do, you get kind of fucked. But then here's
a slight problem.
But here's what I'm talking about as well. When it's like, despite there being about 100 puppets, not all of them have completely unique like cockpits. Because once you get to New Gill and beyond, these are just upgraded versions of the starting puppets. You know, like there's the original Gill, and the Gallows is the update to the Gauss. And then you got like all kinds of stuff here with like the with the heavy workshop, good old tree workshop. There's our crab.
Time for crab.
There's another beetle. Or like a because and the Veagle 2. Very, very easy to understand because they just append a number to the end. Bomb Workshop is an interesting one because it's like, it's all about explosives. And I don't have it unlocked. Actually, maybe I should just unlock it just to show that it exists. But there is, I shit you not, a Bomb Workshop puppet that fires nukes. It's one of those where... Let me scroll down to...
Puppet Metal Gear is what we're saying.
Yeah, Nuclear Puppet Atros. Let's manufacture that.
I really hope that's short for atrocity.
You know, I'm gonna believe it is. I didn't think of that. Now I do. And so, and this is the crazy part. Like, the nuke requires a launch code. What is the launch code?
666.
Just saw this thing from Hasio. Crab Mecha. Looks like crab. Weak point like people. And no, it is not the same combination on your luggage. No, the game actually tells you, when you go here, you can go to the Marination Gear Association throughout the game, and they'll give you like kind of updates on the world and like other information about it, like stuff about the different workshops, what the Dark Workshop, the history of the puppet makers, etc. And the final one they tell you when you get to the post game is they figured out what the code is to launch the nuke on the Atros. It is the month and date of the year that you're playing the game on. So it's always changing.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So that's another interesting way to use what your system is capable of. You know, utilizing the system clock. Yeah, I mean, let's just look at the Atros. This is what it is.
Okay, that is actually a transformer.
Yeah. Yeah, the ability. Yeah, so in tank form, you press button to prepare super weapon Atros missile. Once the cockpit switches modes, enter the launch code to release the safety lock and fire the missile.
I really hope that's just covered in lead.
It's a really big blast radius, that's for sure. Anyway, we got the bow workshop, which is all about like long range like projectiles with like bows, which are, you know, once you get access to these, they're a pretty good secondary mecha to invest in after the wheel workshop if you're in a situation where it's like, I don't want to get in close because these assholes are able to hit me before I can, so I'm just gonna lame it out and shoot them.
Hey, if it works.
Yeah, some of these can even transform, but unlike the wheel workshop, they have the stipulation where they're limited to 3 transformations in a mission.
Okay.
Yeah, and depending on the mission, it'll either start you in humanoid form or in vehicle form. So that's another thing to take into consideration. Coolest thing that the bow workshop has, though, is the Belmerang, where instead of a bow, you have like a giant bow, which you can like move the arm around so that it works like, you know, like a sword on any other puppet, but you can also throw it, and it's pretty powerful at the same time. And then their ultimate, the Wheel Workshop's ultimate puppet is one that just fires a crossbow. And then going down the list, here is the Circle Workshop, which again focuses on what I was talking about. They all use like gears and springs and like no electronics, and the gears do break if they are used beyond their limits. So that's like the Actuator. There's the Springer, which was demonstrated at the museum but we didn't get to pilot. This one that's literally a wind-up toy.
I was gonna say that looks like a really old-fashioned robot.
Yeah, and then this is like kind of like the best class of the wheel workshop, which is the Daltania. It's like a little fencer robot that has a rapier in one hand and a musket in the other. And yeah, and this is their ultimate one, which is a steam train, and when it is transformed into humanoid form, its main weapon is tonfas. You can see why I am a fan of this one, because this one's insane. In order to power it, because it's a steam train, you have to load coal into the furnace.
You actually have to shovel into a little thing in the touchscreen.
Yeah. And yes, it is very brave. We basically get to play as a member of the Brave Express.
That is so cool.
And then we get the Shinobi Workshop, which admittedly I've not unlocked most of these because a lot of them are ones you have to buy. But their idea is that, you know, humanoid form, they're very ninja-like. But they also have animal forms, which are, again, very ninja-like. You know, like this one turns into a frog, and that has its own movement mechanism, because the way you cover a lot of distance is by doing, like, long jumps with them.
And I know I've made a lot of Gao Gaigar jokes already, but come on.
Yeah, and then this one lets you turn into a dog. Yeah. Unfortunately, none of these let you take a Shinobi robot and turn it into a car, so alas, there is no Volfog equivalent.
Damn it. So
and
close.
then, okay, here's the Bullet Workshop, which is like, take the Bow Workshop, set it in America, and then this is what happens.
You know, there's a part of me that absolutely loves the Japanese ideal of America.
Yes.
And there's a part of me that's also like, okay, but that's super racist, though.
No, but it's deserved because, like, that makes up for all the horrible, horrible racism we've inflicted on everyone else. It's retribution.
I mean, fair.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like with like the gun-based puppets, like, there are ones that have all kinds of different guns. Like, one that has a revolver. This is like a rifle, a shotgun, and then, like, kind of an updated one of like the first revolver gunman. This one just fires so this is a goofy one that, as part of the story, it's introduced as the puppet maker's idea of trying to figure out, like, basically coming to the hard realization that a jack of all trades like mecha isn't the thing that is the best, because it's not a master of none, because you get access to a shit ton of weapons with this. Yeah, you got a missile launcher, and then, like, you know, just like a rifle, like, in the other. And it's a lot to manage. And then their ultimate form is, their ultimate puppet near the end of the game is, let's just give it an assault rifle.
Yeah, let's just give it an old-fashioned M16.
Yeah, and it can turn into a car. Then there's the Special Workshop, based in the lore, is basically it is the puppet master of puppet maker of the Special Workshop was an apprentice of the Circle Workshop who left because he was dissatisfied with how extremely Luddite the entire workshop was, and being like, no, fuck electronics. We can make puppets just fine using old-fashioned technological advancements from centuries past. And he's like, that's stupid. You're stupid. Time to combine both. So you get the drill tank, which is quite an interesting one right there, because it's like, it's 2 drills, and when you're in vehicle form, you have to, like, rotate a winch the entire time in order to get the drills to individually spin, but also kind of like the thing that's holding them together to spin at the same time.
That sounds ridiculously complex.
Yeah. Then there's the Bolt Spectra, which is just a giant electric ray gun when you're in tank form.
Okay, that's a Maser tank from Godzilla.
Oh my god, you're so right. But this is one of my favorites because of how, like, it's just a constant hitbox that emits from it. So you could, like, just get an enemy into a corner where they won't get flung back, and you could just keep them there.
So that's the cheap-ass cheese mech?
Until it doesn't work anymore, because your mobility is kind of shit. And it drains a lot of... And it causes a lot of heat buildup, by the way.
I can imagine.
And then you get a fucking super robot.
Of course, why not?
Except, this is the genius joke of it, is that it's not like a full-on super robot. It's like one of those cheap, like, super limited articulation toy versions of a super robot that gets sold to children for real cheap.
Yeah, I used to live in a flat where if you had, like, too many appliances on, it would cause one of the circuits to trip in the circuit breaker.
So funny you mentioned that.
Of my flat.
Funny you mentioned that, because only 2 of the 4 switches can be on at once. If 3 or more are turned on, a safety interlock will halt all functions, and you have to use the breaker to reset it.
Yeah, it looks impressive, but that's the super robot equivalent of a shitty house.
Yeah, that is so true. And then here's the Fang Workshop. Kinda, as mentioned, it's like the main forms are, like, kind of like, they're animal-based, but they can also turn into vehicles. Like, this is like a gorilla.
Well, this one's truck and monkey.
This one's a turtle, where its main gimmick is that it can fire, like, weapons and missiles and all kinds of stuff out in 8 directions, like, out of different ports on its shell.
Oh, cool.
And then this one is, again, we keep making mention of the Brave series. We have a fucking super robot where, like, its animal form is a lion. And, as part of the plot, this is basically, this is supposed to be posited as, like, the ultimate puppet that is designed to truly, like, defeat, like, what is, like, the final boss of the game. But in order to pilot it, it's like, you have to best it in a match to convince it that you are worthy of piloting it.
Oh god, they are pulling out every single trope they can think of.
Yeah, like, again, this is what I fucking love about this game, is just how it's like, yeah, obviously with 100 puppets, not everyone can have, like, all their own completely unique cockpit controls, but there is still a lot. Like, it is impressive, and the escalation is, like, really enticing the whole way. So,
as I said, like, I saw a site that had a whole load of the various cockpits, and, excluding recolors, it looked like there was at least 50 or 60.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, and you can tell this is my main file because I named the main character after me. I didn't realize Jin was his quote-unquote canon name until I started looking up more info, which was to say I had to dig through old GameFAQs posts to find the one person that posted a link to, like, the Japanese @wiki, and then save that in my favorites. That basically makes for 2 @wikis that I have saved for different games. It's this and the PS2 Armor Trooper Votoms game, which, speaking of, will be featured on Year in the Mecha. Check it out in about less than 2 weeks from now. All right. So let's get through this. This one's a little bit of like a fight where this guy Lambert is gonna give us the. Well, he was just going to simply hand it over, but he didn't realize who he was going to hand it over and saw that we were a kid. And you're like, are you shitting me? So now we have to fight him for the privilege of owning this robot.
Nothing's ever simple around here, is it?
Yeah. So why don't we put the screws to him by returning to Crab?
Crab superiority.
Yeah. So the cool thing about like piloting this crab robot, as you'll see, much like with actual crabs, the ideal movement is to strafe. If you try and walk forward,
your life depends on it.
If you try and walk forward or backwards, it is going to move slow as shit. No need to hold back. Yeah, see, like every character you go up against has like this sort of superiority feeling where it's like, I've been at this for way longer than this kid. There's no reason I should ever lose. Proceeds to immediately lose.
In fairness, they don't realize that they are in a mech series, so...
Yeah.
You know, they're like, well, of course, in the real world, 14-year-olds die horribly in the battlefield.
Future. Yep. Alright. Ah, damn. Okay. Oh, yeah, so yeah, that's a way to deal with it in melee. Look at that juggle.
Oh, is this Tekken?
Also, you can press L or R, and it gives you, like, this interesting sort of, like, side view that is actually a pretty good way of letting you know where they are on the map.
Yeah, I imagine that would be quite good for some of the more mobile mechs that you can get.
Yeah. That's also like the additional like missile mode that you could switch the crab to, of which you could just fire a fuck ton of missiles and just blow all your ammo, but it's so satisfying to do.
Hasha!
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was an outdated model that was originally from the Bomb Workshop of all things. Yeah, which, oh, by the way, I gotta say about the Bomb Workshop, technically in the backstory, this ties back into the nuclear puppet Atros, but the original Bomb Workshop, its location got wiped completely off the map because of Atros. They were doing a test of it and oh fuck, this nuke is way too strong. And then, rather than completely abandoning the technology because they realized this is a horrible weapon, this could destroy the world, we cannot let anyone use this, the original creator of the Bomb Workshop decided to rebuild it, but on the outskirts of society, so that if another explosion of the Atros occurred, the rest of humanity would be fine.
You know, ordinarily I would be saying this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And then I remember that when they were testing the first ever nuclear weapon, there was a worry that the igniting of the hydrogen could ignite all the hydrogen in the atmosphere around the world. And they decided, well, better us doing it than the Nazis.
Yeah.
Like, if that's not the most true-to-life thing in this entire game, I don't know what is.
God. Thanks, Oppenheimer.
Haven't even seen that film.
Just dig him out of his grave with like, yeah, you know, with how fucked everything is right now, you think you could, I don't know, maybe help us tweak the design further so it could actually get to that, help us put us out of our misery.
Look, here's $50 and a bottle of Jack Daniels. Will you help us?
Yeah.
We're setting up the worst Avengers initiative.
I'm just remembering like the one quip from like the half of the bag on Oppenheimer, where it was like just that same thing of just trying to like pry Oppenheimer to like kind of adjust the bomb specs or make another one. Like, did you just make a bomb and drop it on Bob Iger's nutsack? I mean, he deserves something hitting his nutsack for like all that he's trying to do.
I'm not saying that he should be kicked so hard he turns into a castrato, but I wouldn't be upset if it happened.
It would probably be funny.
It would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Objectively so.
So let's switch over to another puppet that is we're doing. Should we give the nuclear puppet a test run?
Fuck it. Humanity's had a good run. Let's end it.
Yeah. Let's find like a decent spot to to do
Are
this.
there any difficult missions in the middle of the city?
In the middle of the city. Let's see.
Just for maximum irony.
Trying to remember. Well, this is.
I mean, that's an appropriate name. If
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah, because I think I just remembered this one was actually in the. Trying to remember what
Fundamentally,
the context of this was.
I'm not a very good person.
Yeah. Oh wait, they're already planted a bomb in the city.
Well, that's made our involvement redundant.
No, it's perfectly fine. I know exactly how we can disarm it. Use another bomb.
Well, I mean, they use it to put out fires and
Yeah.
You know,
So again, today's
forest.
date is it would be 0915, I believe.
0916.
0916. I regret nothing. Oh, that was worth it.
Thoughts and prayers.
Did they have made the Ottoman able to make bombs? I mean, they decided to do that on their own. Like again, they're self-evolving machines for fuck's sake. That's basically what it establishes.
It's just like we thought it was cute, so we just kind of left them to it, and the next thing you know,
Yeah. Yeah, let's So I'm not only gonna show off the one of the Bullet Workshop puppets, but I'm gonna go to yeah, so this is where the Bullet Workshop is, and I want to let's see. Yeah, we'll do this mission and then like the story bit after, because there's a funny thing here with our trip to the Bullet Workshop at this part of the story. Gallo's daughter is definitely terrified about going there because she is like her skepticism and like fear of going to where the Bullet Workshop is located is a very real and understandable fear of anyone being given the prospects of coming to America these days. But it's like, I heard that everyone in that town sleeps with a gun under their pillow.
her girl's a hocklophobe, or as we like to call them, sane.
Yeah. Here we are, headed for Lugal, which if you thought that Eisenberg looked a lot like it was like 19th century Paris, France, we get to Lugal, it's gonna look very New York.
I just love the Japanese ideal of America.
Yeah.
Just everyone has a gun and there's cowboys everywhere.
Yeah, it's like again, it's like that meme says, be the American the Japanese people think you are. And not what you actually are.
Loud, fat, and heavily armed.
And just really proud and excited to be an American.
And blonde. Can't
That
forget
too. I mean, fucking listen to this music. We're in the goddamn Wild West. and like our dialogue, we're going to get shot in all caps. That's our biggest worry.
I mean, to be fair, that gun probably has bullets the size of a footstool.
Yeah.
Pretty fair fear, to be honest.
So that's how you do it. Like, you load the cartridge into the top left, top right, then you pull down the trigger.
Okay, that's very cool.
Yeah. Like, it's more or less the same principle with, like, all the others, except you have to do a lot more reloading, because it's like, if you're doing ones where it's like you're using the revolver. There we go. We had a special missile. But yeah, with, like, the assault rifle for loading the ammo is so easy because it's an entire magazine. If it was the revolver, you would have to load each bullet individually into the chamber.
Cool.
And,
So
like,
with-
rotate the barrel in order to get it to line up. Or like, rotate the cylinder so it lines up with the barrel to fire forward.
So with the gun type weapons, do you get infinite mags?
Yes. There are some that have special types of ammunition, but the special types are limited.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like if it's a bullet workshop gun, it's like its base default type of ammo is effectively infinite.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's not New York. Yeah, the only way to beat that robot was with a gun is a robot with a missile. True, just escalating arms. It's the American way.
Only way to take out a bad robot with a gun.
How about a robot with two guns? And then some real perverse puppet maker is like, speak for yourself, I got 3. Does a crotch chop thrust. Or it's like, or what was that gif? I think it was like from a thing that was, because if I remember correctly, Joseph Ferris, the guy that made like It Takes Two and The Way Out, I think he did like kind of like sort of like cheap like short internet films that are like real goofy and weird. I think there was one that like a gif was made out of where it's him as a cop and he just like tosses up a gun that lands right in his trousers and like in front of his dick and he
pelvic thrusts.
Pelvic thrusts to fire the bullets. It's like, I imagine that if there was ever a puppet that had like, basically had a dick projectile.
Oh, wow, I did not know that was him, because that video's going to be like at least 15 to 20 years old.
At least I think it was him, because I always, like, whenever the discussion of his games came up, I recall seeing that GIF posted as well. So I assume that's the connection, because he was like, because he clearly wasn't a game dev first. He did like film and movies first, like small independent stuff. But like that would make sense considering the narrative focus that he goes for with his stuff. Anyway, this is the puppet maker, the puppet master of the Bullet Workshop, and as soon as she sees him.
Well, maybe America's not quite so bad after all, tee-hee.
Yeah, instantly smitten. So, like, just throws all of her preconceived notions and stereotypes of the people in Lugal just out the window.
Okay, but the guy's got a mullet, so maybe not all stereotypes.
Maybe not. But, I mean, he's making that baseball cap work. Oh god, I think Hasio just like...
Oh, dude,
like clued
seriously?
In onto something with the name. Oh my god.
This game just keeps getting better / worse. Luger, Jesus.
He's a gentleman and kind to boot. Looks like they're not all militants.
Anyway, here's my grandfather's arsenal.
You want to see the chamber where I make all my bullets? It may look like a rice cooker, but believe me, it's not. It's much different.
See, I'm thinking that's a euphemism, but I'm hoping that it's... Actually, no, I'm hoping that it is.
I just think it's like a joke where I think it was the old Super Best Friends playthrough of like the Punisher game, the one from like PS2, Xbox, PC. And it was like, because the main menu said Frank Castle's apartment, and I think Wooly just like mistakenly goes, "Is that a rice cooker?" When it's like, no, it's the fucking bullet tumbler that Frank Castle used to make his ammo. Like, that's just immediately what I think of every time. Like, just that hilarious, like, just confusion.
See, I actually did a playthrough with Fiendly years ago of the Punisher. Really fun game.
Yeah, it's, I think that might be the best way to experience anything with the Punisher, just because it gets close to the heart of how absolutely absurd the Punisher is, like, as a concept.
And Tom Jane, like, the movie wasn't great, but in the game, Tom Jane absolutely nails the voice. Like, anytime I read the Punisher since I played that game, it's his voice that I hear.
It was one of those casting decisions where it feels like, you know, it worked because the character, because like the person playing the character actually was invested and wanted to be that character.
Oh yeah, apparently he read pretty much every single Punisher comic when he heard that he got the role. And
Wow.
with the runs that the comic was based on, like pretty much daily, just to get in that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
And the sequel was going to be closer to the original comics, but he was basically told at the last minute, yeah, we're going with someone else.
Oh, right. Yeah, for Punisher Warzone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bit of a
about
shame, I guess.
Technically, the second Punisher movie, the one with Tom Jane.
Yeah.
And it was Ray. What was his name? Ray. I always forget his name. Not Ray Stone. Nah, forget his name. He passed away recently, but he was brought in to do Punisher Warzone. Great actor, terrible movie.
Yeah. So the one before
before
Warzone, yeah, that's what we're talking about. It was like 2004, 5.
Yeah.
It was definitely
John
in that
Travolta
period
in it.
of Marvel movies where it was so all over the place because anything that wasn't Spider-Man had like real capacity to be huge.
Yeah, it was they were like two extremes. It was either Blade 2 or Blade 3.
Yeah. Yeah,
Blade
that's
Trinity.
a good way to put it.
They were either really good, really inventive, or absolute nonsense that was just borderline unwatchable.
Anyway, we got a robot fighting tournament. We're here at the Budokai.
Finally in the tournament arc.
Yeah, literally, yeah, that. Another thing that's just what I love about this game is that, yeah, obviously there's a lot of, I mean, admittedly, as far as like the sort of applications you can use puppets for in this is, I don't think to the same degree that the setting of Steambot Chronicles allows for. But it's still nice when they're able to do stuff like this where outside of fighting Automen, it's like, okay, now you're in a racing Grand Prix. Now you're in a Budokai.
Now we're here for the next 22 missions. Strap in, fuckers.
Is your master joining in a disguise? No, not this one. But I do believe, like, in this string of missions, there's, like, another character that gets introduced who becomes, like, your self-proclaimed rival.
Is he your brother?
Anyway, this is a bit difficult because of the, I don't have my stylus working. Ah, damn it. You know, I'm actually just going to, you know... Fuck.
Gently nudging those buildings out of the way.
You know what? Actually, I'm going to retry, but also, in order to really make it work the way I need, I have to get the stylus to work on my touchscreen, because that's the only way I have practiced that I could shovel in coal fast enough to get enough energy going, which is like, if you see it in action that way, it's like, it's fucking ludicrous. Okay, that should be... I mean, I'll at least double check to make sure if... Hold on. Yeah, okay, so that works. We'll do this before it decides to disconnect again. Let me put back on, like, my glove so that the side of my hand isn't smearing up the screen. Alright, let's... Oh, damn, I forgot I have to press A instead of start on retry. Alright, switch over to humanoid. Yeah, you see me just...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, look at that. Like,
that is insane.
that is all about building up enough energy to maintain momentum in your attacks.
Definitely my kind of robot.
Yeah, but it's tough to use naturally because it means you have to constantly be shoveling coal in any moments when you're not adjusting your attack. Because the idea is that like the attack for the Tonfas basically is designed to keep going infinitely as long as there is coal to burn.
Yeah, I imagine that can get quite tiring very quickly.
Yeah, but I also love just the hilarity of how I'm like, you know, I could just flick the stylus up across the screen and just shovel in coal so goddamn fast. It's hilarious. But let's go to the finals. I'm actually going to switch to different puppet for this one, which, I'm going to go with...
I don't think you've shown off any of the wheel or the construction ones.
That's true, yeah. It's just that, again, like with the construction, it's like their melee attack stuff, even though it's powerful, but like controlling it is not quite as good as it is in the with like the wheel workshop. But we'll at least show off like the gallows, just to kind of be like, yeah, this is the Gauss. Like I don't really need to show the Gauss because this is effectively like the better version of it.
Yeah.
So much better that we'll just go straight to the hard difficulty of this mission. Yeah, the finalists are two young boys, one of which basically goes on to be our self-proclaimed rival. And wait till you get a kick out of this guy and how he looks.
Okay, I've got mental image.
You can imagine based on the name.
Loud, spiky, red.
I'll say 2 out of 3 on that.
Hey, not far off.
Yeah, I mean the only red part's the scarf, but close enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say 2.4 out of 3.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's not about your age; it's about the fire in your soul. Who's this guy?
Dork.
Yeah, like, I got nothing but respect for Ryu, even though at no point in this story is he ever going to come out on top of me. Oh, so it's like, I kept quiet, but the dialogue advanced sound triggers my Discord response. What? Oh, God. Alright, so he's using the axe puppet Gil, so it's basically a battle between wheel workshop puppets.
Ah.
Now, here's the part that's fun with this. You spin this to charge up the sword. And then this is the ultimate attack. With a rather wide hitbox, I'm going to say.
Well, that hardly seems fair.
Not even his vehicle form could get around that. But yeah, naturally, if you get your sword glowing fuchsia-colored, that just makes all of your attacks super strong. But it builds up a lot of heat. Like, if you paid attention to the heat gauge, like, charging it up from 0 to max basically takes 50% of your heat meter.
So it's basically death or glory.
Pretty much, yeah. Especially because you can swing your sword fast enough that, like, your heat will build up faster than it depletes, when you're in those moments where you're not attacking.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so, like, as things get tougher and tougher, even as you're getting better puppets to play with, the heat gauge, more or less, is still going to raise in the ways that it's supposed to based on how strong, like, the attack or the move is. So you're always going to have to, like, pay attention. Heat management is basically your main resource compared to other games where it would be something like, say, boost management. But this is not a game that's about high mobility, so obviously you can't really chalk it up to, like, a boost meter or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was what it's like kind of in a squared off robot arena. What about if we go onto a race?
Yeah.
So we'll try the main event of the Marionette GP. And you'll get to see a bit more in detail what, like, the driving is like. Oh yeah, this is like another character who's like nothing is done with it or paid off with it, but she's clearly got a crush on you.
Yeah, she kind of looks like a reject from Turn A Gundam.
Yeah, like she's like an apprentice from the bow workshop is the idea. Like the thing with the bow workshop is that, like, pretty much everyone working there, even the puppet maker, are all, like, they're the youngest out of all, like, the people working at the other 8 workshops in the main 8. Amazingly two children, which is us and another rival, who's his name's Ein, I believe it is. Yeah, and he's like, yep, that's him.
Oh, wow, they really want you to hate him, don't they?
Yeah, well, he's not as hateable as you would think he would, because he's at least a good sport about it. but he definitely has a prideful side to him where he's like, he just wants to be like the best when it comes to puppet racing, and in that respect, he sees you as his greatest rival. So he at least values the competition.
Yeah, it also kind of looks like the main antagonist from Cross Ange, which is kind of weird.
Yeah. So the wheel is how you steer, and you have like your accelerator. Like you get to top speed by kind of moving that vertical lever on the right up to top. You can actually adjust your speed with D-pad. However, if you really want to get to top speed quickly, you have to adjust the lever manually.
I was gonna say, are you just holding down forward at this point?
Nope. All I'm using is the stylus on the touchscreen to steer the car.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That said, though, for some turns on other race levels, it is important to adjust your speed so that you don't go off the track on a very tight turn. These are at least fine because I have enough leeway to start my turn way in advance.
Yeah, imagine anything with a hairpin is gonna be a nightmare.
Yeah. Also, you have a horn.
Nice.
And pressing the shoulder button that lets you kind of target basically like your basically like shift the camera onto whoever is designated as like your target is a pretty good way of giving you an idea of how far behind the competition is actually. It kind of works in place of the fact that you don't have like a map of the track layout.
Yeah, the lack of a map feels really weird.
A little bit. But the track at least is very simple enough to not matter. Like this is basically like a Mode 7 like Mario Kart type track.
Yeah, it's very very F-Zero.
Yeah, original F-Zero for sure, yeah. God, speaking of which, wow, how like I was not expecting to suddenly give Nintendo money for like their online subscription just to play F-Zero 99, but here I am.
Yeah, franchise has been dormant for the better part of, 15, 20 years, and all of a sudden, here you go.
Not 19 years if you're going off of the last game, which was Japan only, and the GBA game.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like...
Who saw that coming?
Yeah, which is like... I mean, I was like, well, whatever. I'll take it as an acknowledgement, as well as kind of... I extended it to a bit of a spite take, where I was like, at least the GX fanboys did not get what they want.
Yeah.
Because much as I love GX, God, it gets real fucking annoying when that's the only discourse when it comes to F-Zero as a whole.
Yeah, it's either GX or ROM hacks, which are all designed for people that can do the entire races blindfolded.
Yeah.
And there is literally no middle ground. And I hate that with all kind of all those kind of things where like Metroid's really bad for that as well.
Yeah, it's like it's so weird because like you could like you look at ROM hacks and you look at something like the WAD scene that Doom has, and like the latter is infinitely more respectable despite how ball busting hard a lot of the really good Doom 2 WADs are.
Yeah. Well, the thing is as well is that like they praise map design over difficulty. Yeah. And that means that, they can be scaled up or down accordingly. They're not all slaughter maps.
Yeah. Not to mention you still have all the different difficulties. Like you could still play on Hurt Me Plenty if you're not cut out for ultra violence.
Exactly. So it's much easier to get into as a result. Compared to, as I said, Super Metroid, where if you don't know how to do every single glitch and every advanced technique, you're not getting out of the third room.
Yeah, that's always like just the more obnoxious part of those. Yeah.
Yeah. Them and Mario hacks, I hate them so much because they're all the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, like the only Mario hacks I was ever fond of are the ones that are designed to automatically move you across like bouncing musical note blocks and sliders and other shit, usually in time to like some music track that gets uploaded on Nico Nico Doga.
Yep.
Yes, I'm still living perpetually in the late 2000s. How could you tell?
Hey, my sense of dress and fashion has not progressed since like 1995.
Anyway, I gotta get ready to show off one of the heavy workshop puppets, but this is the Galeen, which I believe again is like basically the heavy workshop's ultimate puppet late in the story, where it's a crane when it's in its vehicle form, but that crane can also transform into a super weapon.
Oh god.
Yeah. Like, the context for all of, like, these super powerful, like, endgame puppets being made in the first place is entirely because of the looming threat of the Automen just getting, like, more and more powerful to the point where it's, like, it's mass-producing, like, its leader puppets, the Puppet King, and then eventually is able to mass-produce something even bigger than that called the Puppet God. So the world's actually, as you get deeper and deeper in the story, becomes apocalyptic, it feels like, despite having this cheery aesthetic.
Yeah, I made jokes about G Gundam earlier. Those were not jokes, it turns out.
Yeah, and that's also not taking into account the fact that there's like a middle arc of the game in which, after like the first major war with the Automen, there's like a military company that starts producing like their own puppets, like full-on mass production, and like during the chaos of that war, like a major like pretty much that entire army splinters off into like a band of roving mercenaries that are just like pillaging towns across the entire region, because it's like, fuck you, we got literal guns on legs, what are you gonna do about it?
And then it's Gundam X.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see, what would be a good one to... Oh, wait, I know actually a good series to go for, actually. This is a funny, like, oddball one. The Tale of Cafe Alice.
Oh, boy.
Which, wait, I forget if this would even be, Actually, no, hold on. If we're gonna be doing these in order because of how quick they are, I think I'm going to want to use... Well, no, I would have to think that the crane would still work for carrying this stuff, because this is a really silly string of missions. It has to do with this girl right here, who's a friend of our main character Ann K from school. Yeah, her name is Mio.
Please tell me we're going to not Anna Miller's.
Well, she's doing a part-time job. She's doing a part-time job at a cafe, you know.
Oh boy.
Not as glamorous as, us being apprentice Marination Gear pilots and mechanics. But Automen keep attacking at critical points, and she is trying to do everything she can to make sure that, her job doesn't get destroyed, and that people are still able to come to the cafe and keep business open. That's the cafe.
And this idyllic dirt lot.
Mm-hmm. The funny thing too is I feel like that the shape I feel like I might be misremembering, but I feel like the shape of that building for the cafe, it almost looks, I think it's reminding me of the cafe that Nanao works at in Robot Alchemic Drive. Her place of employment, that if you're on the map where it's at, you can destroy it every goddamn time and make her life worse and worse. But we can't do that in this game. No, we have to make sure that it doesn't get destroyed, and not only deal with the Automen, but in some cases, in later missions, we might have to move some of these buildings out of the way, because puppets are strong enough to, they're strong enough to just remove them clean from the foundation. No problem.
Yeah, I remember that from the beginning, where you just randomly pick up an office block.
Yeah, which it gets real silly. Oh no, okay, so... Hold on. the hell? Why? Oh, wait. That's right. I need to... Oh, wait. Ah, crap. As you can tell, I've not really played as this one, but... I really love when you're able to get them launched up and then just do like a downward hit. Slam them straight into the pavement. Okay, yeah, as I thought, even in humanoid form, it's not really well equipped for being able to pick up objects. So we're just gonna prime this cannon. There we go. In fact, let's try that again. Oh, fuck.
Oh, well, let's not.
Right, blast radius, I forgot. Shit. Well, honestly, the outcome of this is not important. What is important is the follow-up missions, which we'll switch to a heavy puppet that is actually equipped for moving the stuff. So good old Roser, you know, like the front shovel part is like perfectly equipped for this.
We'll do on easy. Do love the overly elaborate arming mechanisms.
Yes, that part's so good.
So impractical, but so much fun.
Mm-hmm. How it is. Things at the store. Well, recently there haven't been a lot of customers. Worry that it might be too far from the train station where everyone gets off.
Can you pick up the train station and bring it over to me?
You're close.
Shit, I wasn't far off the mark.
Yeah, just swap those around, and that's literally it. Because I think with the train station, there's a bit tougher logistics as far as, the tracks.
It's fine. People will adapt.
Yeah. And here comes the gimmick that makes this string of missions hilarious, is like, she's giving us these selfish requests that even Kay, at this point in the story, is trying to be more responsible about the fact that, he's like a mechanic at an important workshop. He can't just be doing reckless things with this expensive equipment, especially in cities, in populated urban areas. But if an Ottoman is attacking, and in the confusion of the attack, yeah, we could totally just move the cafe. Why not?
I mean, we're doing it under the auspices of helping.
Yeah, no helping it. We're just gonna do it. Now we got to make sure. So the thing is that all this mission cares about is that you just get the cafe to its destination.
Please tell me we can beat Ottoman with the cafe.
No. In fact, the cafe will break if you bludgeon it against things and fail the mission.
Ah, that's disappointing.
There are stuff you could do with buildings that totally use them as bludgeons. In fact, there's one. I don't think we really have time to show it, but there's another side character that gets introduced who knows Kay, much to Kay's dismay, because she's an obnoxious Ojo-sama. She's a super rich girl. And during an attack where there's it's late in the game where there's this super tough Ottoman, and it's God, how can we get close to it and knock it down? Its attacks are too strong. And then she's like, I've been waiting for this exact moment. All that money I've spent reinforcing the structure and foundation of my home is finally complete. Use it. Use the building as a bludgeon and beat the Ottoman to death.
Murder everyone with my house.
That's literally what you do. It's so silly. And it's
the only way it could get any better would be if it actually had an oh ho ho sound clip.
Yeah, but Kay does bring up the amazing remark when he's told that's what the plan is, and just goes, man, I don't understand rich people at all.
Fair.
I mean, even though it's a thing that helped them, that helps you out at that moment in time, I still wouldn't trust them to keep doing stuff like that, especially things that are so absurdly impractical and expensive like that. Oh, and there's Anne Marie, who's another side character that gets introduced fairly early on. She's from a wealthy family that's like part of a long line of like marination gear pilots, and as such has a bit of inferiority complex over the fact that she's clearly not the best. Her brother is. So, like, she takes up an apprenticeship at the workshop you're at for the purpose of being like, look how awesome I am at piloting a puppet. And then you just keep beating her every time. She's clearly the tsundere of this group.
She also looks like she just stepped right out of Air Gear.
A little bit, yeah.
One of the characters in that has the big twin tails with huge bows.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, here's Mio's current dilemma, because we were just going to a burger joint, and now we came, and like she saw us there. I was kind of unhappy. But now she's fine now since we got Cafe Alice. You can tell where this is going.
Oh boy.
She's not liking the competition. No, not that kind of competition with, like, these two knuckleheads. We're talking about business. She wants us to get rid of the rival stores.
So if I give you 20 gold, will you yeet that into orbit?
Well, yeah, but we can't just do it out of the blue. You know, that'd be really irresponsible to do with these marination gears. We could lose our license. The only way we could really do it is, I don't know, if an Ottoman just happened to attack, it was already destroying half the city anyway.
I mean, how often does that happen in this city, where Ottoman attacks occur roughly every 22 minutes?
Cue the siren.
Oh! That's perfect timing as well.
Oh no! Who could have predicted this?
Anyone that's ever watched anime?
I mean, even you saw, like, she said in parentheses, here's my chance.
How messed up would it be if she was actually the mastermind this entire time?
Oh my god, yes. So, anyway, we'll do this.
Okay, now we can use the buildings as offensive weapons.
Oh, there. Okay, I just need to find where is the other one, damn it. Right, I guess we could, like, follow the arrow. Ah, shit, I heard the disconnect, reconnect. So, back to the mouse. I mean, I'm probably gonna have to... I think this and, like, the final part of Cafe Alice will count as the end of our time on this longer than usual Year of the Mecha. Yeah. But it's like, I feel like there's no way you could really, like, adequately show off everything this game has to offer in just 2 hours, you know?
I mean, it's... Obviously, this game is incredibly, and I hate the word, wacky. Yeah. But there is a lot to show off.
Alright. Let's get our heat down just a bit more. And then... Oh, wait, I dropped it? What the hell? Oh wait, no, that's right. I have to destroy the remaining Ottoman now. So, damn it!
That Ottoman's got 2 arms. It must be more powerful.
Damn it! I'm trying to. Fuck! God damn it! Yeah, because the Wait, hold on. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it's like the longer the arms are extended out, the slower the swing arcs are. That's the thing that kind of weirdly balances it out. Oh yeah, and that red button is like, if you're holding something, you can press it to just drop whatever it is you're holding, which is a more reliable way of removing things from your grip without swinging them around.
See, I was kind of hoping it would turn the shovels into, like, pile bunkers.
Yeah. I mean...
Shoots them out immediately.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be cool, to say the least. Come on. But yeah, when in doubt, it's, like, much more reliable if you have to. Just swing your arms up and down. Just use gravity to do the rest.
Gravity and 14 tons of steel. Never fails.
There it is. Okay. You know, at least with all the issues of, like, the tablet screen just, like, fucking up the calibration every time with the disconnect and reconnect, at least the emulator and OBS have not been crashing. I'm still considering this a victory.
This has been a remarkably stable stream so far.
Yes. And to think I'm going to have to go back to showing off Turbo Overkill because I'm committed at this point. I already finished the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, you should put those up on YouTube. I didn't even realize you were doing Turbo Overkill.
There's a problem with that, though. It requires you to look at the current archive videos on my Twitch page and just look at how many of them are for episode 1.
Fair point. I did notice there was like 7 or 8 of them.
Yeah, it's like basically, like, the problem could be summed up as, like, when I loaded into the first level, the game, like, OBS crashed.
Ah, gotcha.
That basically set the entire mood for the episode 1 playthrough.
Lots of editing needed. Because I noticed they were each about an hour or so in length as well.
Yeah, which is why I basically made, like, the emphasis that the stream playthrough is more like practice for me to prove that, like, it is totally doable to beat the game on a fresh save on the highest difficulty level. And as practice for a more formal Let's Play where I can really show it at its absolute best. Because I think that's worth doing. I think that's another indie first-person shooter that would be worthy of it, much like when we did Cruelty Squad.
Oh, absolutely. Because, I mean, in many ways, it is just as weird as Cruelty Squad.
Yeah, not as disgusting, obviously.
I mean, it's a high bar to clear in terms of visceral quality, shall we say? But
true.
In terms of, well, for lack of a better term, cruelty to your enemies.
I just want to quickly give a highlight. Anne-Marie's face right now is like the perfect expression of disgust.
Yeah, why to be honest, the fact that this game is so unknown is probably the only reason why we haven't seen like emotes and all kinds of memes of these characters, because the expressions are wonderful.
Well, there's a first for everything. But Hasio does bring up that he remembers the Saturn freezing again and again when I was doing Assault Suit Lanos 2 because of a weird problem with it running on an ODE, where it just, because I think like the loading is so heavily dependent on the fact that you were running it off a disc.
Yeah. Which,
speaking of, that game is the next one in line for the for City Connections Saturn Tribute re-release of games.
Yeah, I saw there was an announcement of that coming out just this last week.
Yeah, which was a very pleasant surprise because I was convinced at this point the only Assault Suit games that would ever get re-releases were only the first Lanos and the first Valken, which Valken did get a re-release earlier this year, which was another nice surprise. So Lanos 2, which has no translation of any kind, actually getting one, kind of exciting.
Yeah, we're kind of in a weird period for games that, you know, like 16 and 18-bit and 32-bit games.
Yeah.
That never would have received an official translation, getting them now.
Yeah. Anyway, here is Mio's final selfish request. Destroy all the buildings in the area where her shop is at so that no one can be distracted. Which, I'm actually going to give up and switch to a different one, I realize, because as long as the buildings are destroyed, it's whatever. I don't need to worry about picking them up to move anywhere. So let's actually show off one of my favorite puppets that I had not gotten to yet, which is the Bolt Puppet Spectra. New Spectra in this case, and you get to see what that plasma electric energy gun death beam, we'll call it a death beam, just as on the whole. You'll see what that's like in action. So all 6 switches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
That is very silly.
Yes. Again, like, you use this on easy and normal difficulty, everything is just cake. Like,
again, it reminds me of several weapons from the EDF series.
Yeah, yeah. Unsurprising.
Like, I feel like I should be shocked, but I'm not really.
Also, for this particular mecha, because of how high you build heat when, like, the death ray is active. Oh, you are not destroying the cafe. Absolutely not. God, this is so much less quick and, like, intuitive to mess with these switches, obviously, when you don't have, like, a stylus to mess with the touchscreen. But, like...
Yeah.
But, God, that thing's so silly.
It's a shame that the touchscreen as well isn't more responsive on the actual DS, because you could actually feel like you're flipping them by hand.
Yeah. Well, even then, it's like using my stylus on this tablet screen, it does feel like I feel like it is as accurate as you could ever get it on actual DS. It's just that, unlike a DS, I have a much bigger canvas to work with. I'm not having to worry about, like, hitting these specific spots on a very tiny, tiny screen. And that was the tale of Cafe Alice. There's so much
Everyone
more.
died, but she was happy. The end.
There's so much more crazy shit I could show. I mean, like, I could have even shown off the final, like, Fang workshop, like the lion puppet, the one that requires you to beat it in a match in order to prove your worth. But it's like we've already gotten a lot out of this game. This is worth playing. You can easily find it online already with the translation patch installed. Just dig in. Just fucking dig in. That is all I can say. It's like, if you are already predisposed to how Sandlot does their games and just how long-term commitment they are to really see the insane, powerful stuff near the end, this is a good one. Doesn't control as well as a lot of their other games? Not necessarily. Again, the touchscreen has its obvious limitations in that way, but the novelty carries it so hard in the same way as something like Zengeki no Regan Leave on the Wii, where it's like, you know, motion control for like sword and shield and bow and magic staffs and all that, obviously more messy than simply aiming a crosshair on the screen with an analog stick and firing a gun. But they do creative things with it. That's the ultimate thing. Sandlot, if nothing else, when given room to do so, are some of the most creative motherfuckers in the low-budget video game space. But speaking of, and especially in terms of giant robots, I'm gonna get up like another screen share for you, Kaboom, specifically, because this is something related to other video game announcements that I feel is very important to bring up because of how often we mention Sandlot. Like, this is very, very important, I feel. So here's your window projector. So a while ago, at the end of August, kind of as after I was getting near the end of my time replaying this game, building up this save file for the purposes of being ready for today, I was like, man, I really wish Sandlot would make another mecha game. EDF's cool and all, but it is still feels a little bit frustrating that that's the only thing they ever do now, or at least the only thing D3 will ever publish now. Until this.
I am not seeing anything.
Wait, are you? Or now you see it?
Nope.
Oh shit. Well, I mean, you can see it on stream.
Yep.
Although at this point, you're probably going to be missing out on the audio, especially if you're trying to pay attention to me saying this shit.
It kind of looks like 13 Sentinels.
But the tone changes.
Wait!
AKA Full Armor Unicorn Gundam.
That is entirely too many guns for one robot.
AKA not Brave Series robot. AKA Sexy Metal Gear.
What? Bare-legged tank.
AKA Cool Dinobot.
AKA Zoids. Okay, that's just a Roomba with guns.
Yeah.
I don't know who created this, but I kind of want to hug them.
Drill Dick Bot.
Choo Choo Bot.
Yes. Ultimate. The Omega customization system.
Oh my god.
Armored Core 6 finally happened and D3 is giving it to us.
Yeah, I liked how there was one that was literally just a hatchback with 30 missile launchers.
Creativity fuels conflict. Like, this is why I wanted to show this, especially today. Tell me this is a fucking Sandlot game, even though there is no Sandlot logo on this trailer.
I think I need that game in my life more than I need oxygen.
I mean, also they showed off like a bunch of anime voice actors they got. They even got Psychic Lover doing a theme song, which, I mean, like, they're no stranger to hype as hell, like, anime openings and, like, Mecha and, like, Super Sentai series, actually.
It just keeps zooming out and zooming out and zooming out.
Yeah. Well, we can't all be winners.
Ultimate Death Bobblehead.
It's... God, that game's just gonna be fucking amazing. I need it. I need it so bad.
That is the dumbest thing I have seen in quite some time, and I love it.
Like, if this somehow is revealed to not actually be made by Sandlot, and it's just someone else at D3 that is using their same tech, then, like, that's fine. I'll take it. What matters is that I see this, and I am hoping that there are so many parts to customize with, especially with, like, placement and size, that I will be able to make, like, just bootleg versions of an entire roster from a Super Robot Wars game. That is my goal.
That's kind of what I always wanted the Gundam Breaker series to be.
Yeah. Because they have clear limitations because of trying to, like, keep all the parts, like, the same size they would be if you were to actually kit bash them.
Yeah, I always wanted to make the silliest mechs I possibly could imagine, but because of the limitations of the fact that everything is based on an actual model kit, you could kit bash, but not properly, the same way you would be able to with, like, physical parts.
Right.
So the fact that you are able to make essentially Lego abominations, I need that. I need that so much.
Also, it reminds me, because of how long it had been since I'd seen any sort of, like, trailers or marketing from D3. Best trailers in the business. That entire publisher. Like, I ended up looking back through some of, like, their other trailers for previous games they had released or are coming out, and it's like, they're all that same manner of just goofiness. Like, they know who their audience is.
I remember the PS3 and PS4 EDF trailers were pretty memorable.
Yeah. I do remember the EDF 4.1 trailer where it is just like the EDF anthem as you see all the player characters getting bodied by ants and bees and every single enemy that the game has. And just ending with, I don't know what's going on. Are we winning?
Just one poor bastard at the end going, EDF, EDF.
God. That game's going to be amazing. It's like that announcement.
Day one purpose.
That announcement that was done like just happening when it did could not have been more fortuitous because of how much I have been wishing for Sandlot mecha games to come back in some form. Like obviously the most I would love is another game like Rad, but that is a game where, like, its type of control scheme is that there is no one out there that is brave enough to do it. Not even Sandlot anymore, I think. But if they were to do their own take on, like, super robots or revisiting the Super Control Mecha MG concept, that would have been cool. Like, I was actually thinking for a brief moment how it's like, it would have been cool if they had tried to, like, make their own spin on a mecha game for the Wii. you know? Because they made really good use of the touchscreen. Why not make good use of the motion controls that the Wii was capable of? And I thought about it more, like, if you were to translate this game's concept to that, it would basically be that shitty Kinect Steel Battalion game, except it would actually work because you're not using the Kinect. You at least have a pointer to interact with an in-game cockpit on the screen.
It would be the game that I like, except it doesn't make me want to hurt myself.
Yeah, it'd be like, actually, you know what? Thinking about that more, that would be like the perfect like control model if there was ever a